not voicing opposition rather than coming out and saying this is an issue we want to get behind and we want to really expand contraception access.
Okay, understood. Pam, I just want to reflect for a moment on what feels like a really remarkable moment that we're in, which is that at the same time as anti-abortion groups have won this huge victory in overturning Roe versus Wade, and abortion access is withering away in many parts of the country, we also have the exact opposite thing happening with the pill. It's now going to be available over the counter. It just feels hard to understand how these two things are happening at the same time. How do you interpret that?
I think it's the kind of thing that sounds like a huge contradiction, but is actually very logical when you consider how these issues work kind of together and how they play off one another. And so when you have one side having, a big loss in terms of access to abortion, then you have them really getting energized and throwing everything that they can behind getting a win. So the stakes are very high. They are putting everything they can behind getting a win on those stakes. And you have a situation where, unlike what we were talking about before, where there was a time when this issue was getting drowned out by a lot of reproductive health issues, right now, this is actually an issue that people are paying attention to. So the removal of guaranteed access to abortion has made people focus a lot more on other things like contraception. And so, in a sense, the timing was right for this kind of decision to happen.
That makes me wonder what's going to happen now. I mean, how transformative do you think this move to make birth control available without a prescription will be for women?
The big question is going to be, how much will this pill cost and will people be able to afford it? We are waiting for the company to set a price. We're waiting to see whether insurance will be required to cover it. So affordability here is really key. If that happens, then I think it will be really transformative, because the people who really need this kind of access to the pill are going to be young women, teenagers, women living in poor communities and rural communities, where it's really challenging to find the time and spend the money to travel to see a doctor or go to a clinic for a prescription. This pill is going to be available at the gas station, at a convenience store, on just a shelf next to the aspirin, on Amazon.
Wow.
And so if the price is right, I think that will increase access for an awful lot of women. And given where this whole story started in the 1950s, it's really kind of remarkable that we are now in an era where birth control pill can be available right off the shelf.
Pam, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. Here's what else you need to know today. In a sign that former President Donald Trump is likely to be indicted for a third time, he has received a letter from the Justice Department saying that he's the target of a federal investigation into his efforts to overturn the 2020 election. The letter means that prosecutors have gathered substantial evidence linking Trump to a crime, but it does not guarantee that he will be charged. And so far, it's unclear exactly what those charges might be.
All right. morning, how may I help you?
I'll take 2 number 2 as a meal, with orange juices.
Both of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll take 2 sausage McMuffins and 2 sausage burritos with mild sauce.
Okay.
And that's all.
Alright, this brother will be 2514 first window.
Thanks. All right.
So you said 2 oil frappe, extra espresso, or whatever? On the mouth sauce? Oh.
Okay, give me a receipt. Thanks.
Order, please.
Thanks. All right.
sought ways to hold on to power after losing the 2020 election, including by making false claims of election fraud, pressuring local officials to find him more votes, and inviting his supporters to march to the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. And on Tuesday, North Korea detained an American soldier who crossed into the country without authorization. The Times reports that the soldier was on a tour of the heavily guarded security zone between North and South Korea when he broke away from the tour group and ran across the border. The U.S., which has no diplomatic relationship with North Korea, is now working with North Korea's military to negotiate the soldier's release. Today's episode was produced by Luke Vanderklug, Mooj Zadie, and Carlos Prieto. It was edited by Paige Cowell, contains original music by Marian Lozano, and was engineered by Alyssa Moxley. Our theme music is by Jim Brunberg and Ben Landsberg of Wonderly. That's it for the Daily. I'm Natalie Kitroeff. See you tomorrow.
Sergeant and Mrs. Smith, you're going to love this house.
Is that a tub in the kitchen? There's no field manual for finding the right home, but when you do, USAA Homeowners Insurance can help protect it the right way. Restrictions apply.
Today's episode is sponsored by the Boeing Company.
Good morning. Welcome to Axios Today. It's Wednesday, July 19th. I'm Nyla Voodoo. Here's what we're covering today. America's therapy boom. Plus, historic temperatures hit 3 continents. But first, another possible Trump indictment and what sets it apart. That's today's one big thing. Special counsel Jack Smith looks likely to indict former President Trump for his efforts to overturn the 2020 election. That means as soon as next month, Trump could be facing 4 indictments in 4 different jurisdictions. Axios' managing editor for politics, David Lindsay, has more. Hi, David.
Hi, Nyla. How are you?
David, what do we know about these possible new charges against Trump?
We don't know exactly what the charges might be, but we do know what they've been looking into, based on, in part, the letter that they sent to Trump and his team. Assembling fake electors, 16 people were charged in Michigan yesterday over that. Fundraising based on false claims of election fraud. Trump's team raised tens of millions of dollars by claiming fraud. And then Trump's actions on January 6, 2021, the day of the insurrection.
There's been a lot of discussion that these indictments may actually help Trump in his run for president. Could this latest one be different, though?
The previous indictments against him, hush bunny to a porn star, classified documents, were things that we didn't see. Everyone saw January 6th. We saw the speeches, we saw the tweets, we saw the march to the Capitol, we saw police officers being killed. So I think it might resonate, certainly with voters, a little differently. With a Republican base, that's hard to say. They're pretty well committed to Trump. I think each time you might see a little peeling off of support, but not yet.
When we talk about January 6th, are Democrats on Capitol Hill reacting differently to a possible January 6th indictment versus all of these other ones?
Yes, and it's because this one is personal. They were in the Capitol, many of them were in the Capitol that day. You saw Hakeem Jeffries, the speaker, with a strong statement out. A representative from California, Jimmy Gomez, said, people feel it when you're the victim. And I think that's how a lot of them see this.
So there is this possibility of a DC-based January 6th case. There is the actual classified documents case in Florida, the election meddling case in Georgia, the hush money case in New York. When do we expect to see movement on any of those?
Well, the New York trial, for now, is scheduled for March. There was a hearing in Florida court for Judge Eileen Cannon, the Trump-appointed judge who's overseeing the classified documents case. No trial date was set, and that could be several more months of just reviewing evidence. In the Georgia case, the court personnel has been told to get ready for something to happen in the first 2 weeks of August. I think it's starting to become clear that we're going to have the possibility of 4 trials going on during this election season. And the more indictments we see, the unprecedented nature of this really becomes clear, and the test of the system in our government, our way of doing things, our democracy becomes really clear.
David Lindsay is Axios' managing editor of politics. Thanks, David.
Thanks, Nyla.
And blistering heat waves across the world continue. Yesterday, heat records were set in 3 continents: North America, Europe, and Asia. Phoenix, Arizona marked 19 straight days of temperatures at or above 110 degrees Fahrenheit, a new record. Parts of France and Spain are at all-time highs in an extreme event known as heat wave Cerberus. And in Beijing, where climate envoy John Kerry is meeting with Chinese officials to work together on greenhouse gas emissions, the city is enduring a record stretch of 95-degree days. All signs climate change is affecting parts of the globe faster than expected. Coming up, more Americans are in therapy and talking about it.
With over 200 programs and partnerships to help foster more women in STEM, Boeing is creating an environment where inspiration can thrive. See where inspiration can take you at boeing.com/teamboeing. Welcome back to Axios Today. I'm Nyla Voodoo.
Therapy's in high demand, and Americans are seeking it now more than they did just 2 decades ago. Last year, 23% of adults visited a mental health professional. In 2004, it was at 13%. That's according to Gallup. Axios' Erica Pandy is here with why we're seeing a boom in mental health treatment. Hi, Erica.
Hi, Nyla.
Are we seeing this boom in therapy in a specific age group or gender?
It's happening across all genders and all ages and all races. And I mean, there is kind of especially a larger tick among younger adults, but we are really seeing it across the board.
With so many more people seeking therapy, I imagine that's also a sign that people are not feeling their best.
A lot of healthcare experts came forward during COVID saying that we're experiencing kind of 2 pandemics, one with COVID and one with mental health, and that's really true. Pandemic isolation drove up rates of depression and anxiety among Americans from all walks of life. And also, the substance abuse crisis in America really got out of hand during the pandemic. Fentanyl became such a big issue. And then on top of that, we're in this moment where more and more studies are coming out that are linking the rise of social media to just deteriorating mental health among especially young people.